Hello, everyone. Welcome to Raw, Hard, and Real. I'm here today with a very special guest, Bass Modulators. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm fine, man. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for your time. I'm really excited about having you here. You're quite a legend on the Hardstyle community. So
Thanks.
I want to start, well, first let's talk about the festival season because right now we're in the middle of it. So how is it for you? And by the way, which festival is your favorite one to play at?
In the hardstyle, I must say Defqon, obviously, because it's it's still after all those years. I'm playing there already for at least 10, 12 till 12 year. But I even attended the first Defqon ever, like in 2001, if I'm right, and I only missed like one in my whole life. And the rest, I've attended all of them. So that was already something that is like deep in my heart, you know, the whole festival and the whole story behind it and the whole road with Q-Dance towards where we are right now. I've seen it all and I've been a part of it most of the time. So yeah, that's for me, of course, a totally different story. And a little side note, one of the first Defqons I attended was as a bartender.
Really?
But before I was Bass Modulators, yeah. And it was together with Roland when I was still a duo, of course. But before we were even like a duo and started Bass Modulators, we were bartending at Defqon. So that was pretty funny. It's like for 1 or 2 years in a row. And after that, we became Bass Modulators. And then we were on the other side of the bar, on the other side of the DJ decks even.
On which year was the first time that you were playing there?
I'm not totally sure yet, but I think it was around 2011 or something. That's what I think. But I have to check it to be sure, but something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since then, have you been on you have been every year playing there?
I think so. Yeah, I cannot remember that we didn't join one since then. Yeah.
Okay.
I think, I'm pretty sure we played every single one of them.
And which one has been your favorite?
I must say 2016 because we made the anthem, of course. Yeah, and that's for me still the biggest honor, maybe the biggest honor even of my life. I mean, when we started making music back in the days as Bass Modulators, the biggest achievement we were aiming for was, of course, the Defqon anthem. And I can still remember that Q-Dance asked us to the office. And we were like, already, what's going to happen, you know? And then they were sitting there with like 4 people. And so, guys, what do you think of it? Would you like to do the Defqon anthem? And I was like, what? Especially because we really didn't expect it yet. Because we, in our opinion, we were just begun, you know? So, it was a really, really big honor doing the Defqon anthem. That year made it extra special because we got like the best VIP treatment we've ever got because we got like the biggest bungalow at the Defqon village and they made like a whole after party package for us by Q-Dance. We got the helicopter ride. We played like 3 times at weekends and it was insane. We had like 2 tracks in the end show. Yeah, I mean like that's the best you can wish for as an artist, I guess.
Yeah, that's like the biggest achievement that any artist on the hardstyle scene can imagine. Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And how's the process of creating the anthem? Like, do they tell you that it has to be at least, maybe 4 minutes long? And what do they ask you for exactly?
Well, first of all, they always have like, of course, a theme. And in that year, first they started off with something different. I'm not sure what it was, but it was something rock related, like rock, like something like Rock for Your Life or Rocket or I don't know, but something with rock in there. So that's how we started off the anthem. And then later on, they changed it to Dragon Blood. So the funny part is that we still have like the sort of guitar riff in the mid-intro. And actually, that was a part we made because of the previous theme. So we were like, hey, maybe it's pretty cool to keep it in. And then they came up with Dragon Blood. So we changed up the whole vibe and also put in a sort of like dragon kind of scream growl. And we made it ourselves with a synthesizer. So it was pretty funny we wanted to do like a digital dragon. And I think that worked out pretty well. So that's like the theme part. And furthermore, we had to come up with a melody, and you always want to do like a real Defqon melody, with everybody should sing along. It needs like powerful, the tribe feeling, it needs so much in there. And we had a lot of examples, of course, from previous anthems. But that's also the hard part, because you want to do something original, something special. You want to actually go beyond the previous Defqon anthems. But you still want to keep that feeling. So it was definitely, without a doubt, the hardest track to make in our whole career back then. I think we worked on it for 7 months, but in the end, when we, and we made, I think, without a doubt, 500 melodies. And the funny thing is that after 7 months, we came back to the first one. Like 500, and they were like, just keep the first one. I think it's still not melody. Another funny part is that we came up with this melody because everybody liked Radiance, our track Radiance, back then, because the year before they put that track in the After movie. So everybody was saying, this should be the next Defqon anthem. So we were like, okay, people expect something like this. So that's why we based the melody a little bit with the chorus structure and everything on Radiance. I think it worked out pretty well. Everybody's still singing along till this day. So yeah, that's a little bit of the story behind it. Oh yeah, and then we showed it, and we were expecting a lot of comments of the people of Q Dance, like this should change, but instantly it says, banger, let's do it. So yeah, It was a one taker. I mean, like, it took 7 months, but the first time they heard it, they didn't have any comments on it. Like really small pieces of like we had to change something for the fireworks, because they always want an anthem to really fit with cool fireworks and stuff. So they synced some parts of the break and the drop with the fireworks. But that's about it. Besides that, you get total freedom.
Okay, and by the way, what's your favorite anthem besides yours?
Oh, that's really hard. I think, oh man, there are a few. I think...
okay, top 3.
Okay, now I must say Scrap Attack, especially because it was that one really first Defqon anthem that really took over my heart. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly where I want to be. It was a little bit of the beginning also of our career back then. And I was like blown away. And for me, I still play it till this day in a lot of classic sets. So I must say Scrap Attack, yeah.
Yeah, for me as well. Scrap Attack, I think it's like a really classic song. And I don't know, to this day, I still...
That's everything.
Yeah, and it's so long. I love it.
Yeah.
And your favorite main stage of Defqon?
You mean like the how it looks, you mean?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's also a really hard one.
This year. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely love it. I mean, like, if you look at the full picture, I think this year was like the best. I think this year. But I must say the last few years, they were extremely well done.
Yeah.
I also really loved our year, like the Dragon Blood team, especially because they told us up front what they were going to do, like with 2 dragons, like fighting each other. And I was like, how the hell are you going to do that? How would you even able to make that? But they did a great job. And it was really funny to see a stage that was actually sort of based on our anthem. So a whole party around your anthem is a pretty epic thing to see how they come up with it. So,
Yeah, that sounds crazy. And I also wanted to ask you, on all this time that you have been attending to Defqon, how has it changed? Like, has it grown? Because I started into Hardstyle probably like 6 to 7 years ago. I'm quite new. So that's when I started to see like all these festivals and everything. But for you, as a bartender, then and after the first 2 years, you started going there just playing. So it was just 2 years as a bartender, but never as a guest.
Maybe one time as a guest.
Okay.
I cannot remember which year that was, but sort of what you say, like 2 years bartender, maybe 1 year like going as a visitor, and after that as a DJ. But especially the first one, the beginning, the theme was really like the army stuff, I mean, like Defqon 1 is based on the army slogan. So then they had like a lot of army stuff, like cars and soldiers and all kinds of like really rough themes, and it was really basic. So nothing really special. If you compare the stages back then to now, it's like not even close. It's a totally different world. So it's really funny to see all those like evolution in the stages and in the sound and in the DJs and in the themes. And now they changed more from the army to the tribe stuff. And I think that fits really well, you know. So they're doing great with teams.
Yeah. And okay, now I want you to tell me more about you, about Bass Modulators. How did you start it? What attracted you to hard music? Like, tell me about the beginnings of Bass Modulators.
Well, the funny thing is that when I still was with Roland, I knew him from high school. We were already friends, and he was more like a DJ, and I was a little bit more of a producer. And then we started to teach each other what we knew, you know. So I was a little bit more with the producing stuff. He was more like the DJ stuff. So he was teaching me more to DJ, and I was teaching him a little bit more to produce. And then we found, like a perfect sort of collaboration in that. And we made a track just for fun. It was like back in 2007. And we put it online on a really small server thing, like nothing special. We didn't even have YouTube yet, no Facebook. There was nothing like how we know it nowadays. So not even SoundCloud. And we just put it on a little server somewhere. And a few days later, I was like, hey, shall we check if the name Bass Modulators already exists? Because that was the name we came up with for the track.
Okay.
And so we Googled it. And we found like a whole forum, like, I don't know, some sort of hard tracks kind of thing. And we found a forum, and there were a lot of people talking about the track from Bass Modulators. So we were, shit, it's already existing, that name. So we were just like, okay, just check what it is. And they were talking about our track. And I was like, hey, this is so weird. Because we didn't even put it on the forum. They found it themselves, and we still have no clue till this day how they found it. But the funny thing is that after like 10 or 20 comments of people, we said like, hey, it's us. We just started. We don't even have a label yet. So thanks for the support, guys. And then Brain Kicker, it was back in the days, it was a really famous hardstyle artist. He sent us a message like, hey guys, I really love this track. Do you want to do a collab on this? That was like the track In Deep and Fight the Future. It's like 2007, so a long time ago. And we were like, yeah, of course, let's do it. And that was on the label of Tatanka, the Italian DJ.
Yep.
And then Tatanka gave us a call a few days later, like, guys, this is epic. I want to play this in my set at Cubase. So he invited us to go there, and we were like, whoa, what is happening? You know, it was, back then, it was such a great feeling that you started as a bedroom producer without any expectations. Yeah. And a few weeks later, we were standing at Cubase, and Tatanka played our track for a full crowd. And I was like, holy shit, this is a dream come true.
Wow.
And that's actually how it started. Because after that, we pretty soon got a call of a bookings agency. It doesn't exist anymore. But the agency was like, hey, you want to join us? We're going to arrange bookings for you. And we did. And a few months, a month later, we had like a pretty full agenda already. And and now we are like, what is it, 17, 18 years further. And it's still my career. So yeah.
Wow. So you just started with this song, and then it kind of exploded.
Yeah, it was literally, I didn't expect anything, because normally you put something online to find it for people, you know, but we didn't put it online for people to find it. It was just so we can show it to people when we were at a birthday or something. And then other people just found it themselves. I still don't have a clue how, but I think the universe was with us.
That's true. And by the way, at first, did you both produce, or it was more kind of your thing, and Roland was more into the DJing, or how did it work at first?
We started producing pretty soon, like equally. So especially like the first years, we produced everything 50-50. But we both had our own specialties, you know. So I was more from the melodies. He was more like the edits and the arrangement and that kind of stuff. So we found our way in specializing our own things. And after that, but he really taught me DJing. And the funny stuff is that the first real big gig we had in the Matrix, it was a really big club in Holland. And we were playing there for, I think, 2,000 people or something. I don't know exactly how much. But I was no DJ yet. Roland taught me to play like literally 3 tracks, how I should mix them. And I was like a noob. I didn't have any clue. And then we were coming there, and we didn't even expect to that we could play on finals. We still played finals back in the days. But somebody said, maybe you should burn some CDs, because maybe it's possible that they only have CDJs, because it's that early, you know, we didn't even play it on CDJs yet. So we were like, well, whatever. But okay, let's burn some CDs to be sure. We never played on CDJs before. And we came to the club, the full crowd, and there were only CDJs. And I was not even able to play. So Roland was like, what the fuck? But he was like, yeah, just act like it's our finals. So he really didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue at all. And he just started playing and just did it like it was a final, like the normal final mode. But I didn't have a clue how hard that was for him. So I was just having fun, like, and I just tried to mix something. He had to fix it. So it was really funny that nobody in the crowd had any clue how hard it was for us. But we survived, and everybody liked it a lot. So it was really funny. Yeah.
And is it difficult nowadays? For example, you split 2 years ago, right? It was on
2 years ago. Yeah.
And was it difficult to start producing just by yourself? Also because you now have also a Bass X Machina.
Yeah.
But how do you find time? Because I mean, it's I don't know. It's easier if you are two, and now you're just you, and you have two projects. Yeah. How do you do it?
Well, in the beginning, it was really finding my way to do it. But the last couple of years, I was doing more in the studio already, so I was already used to that. He was doing a lot more like the management kind of stuff, networking, that kind of stuff, fixing the sets and those things. And we already transferred a lot in the last year, so I already started doing a lot more on my own when we knew he was planning to quit. So for me, the transition was not that hard, to be honest. And I think I picked it up really fast. And I also hired another manager after that. He also took a lot of work out of my hands. So in the end, it's worked out, pretty well, to be honest. And with my new act, besides of it, it was really hard to combine, I must say. I made like 6 or 7 tracks, I guess, last year. But I also found out that it was really hard to combine 2 tracks at the same time, especially when you're on your own. I mean, like Guns for Hire, for example, are two guys working on one project, so that's easier. Yes. So right now, I'm also like, okay, maybe first focus a little bit more on Bass Modulators again, because it's still my main project, and keep Bass X Machina on the side more, like to do it more as a fun project for my creativity, get it out sometimes.
And with Bass X Machina, are you trying to get like to a more raw sound? Well, it sounds to me like kind of more raw than Bass Modulators. Or what's like the approach that you're trying to get in Bass X Machina?
Well, the first idea was that I really wanted to do something new, especially because Bass Modulators already existed for, I think, already 17 years. And I felt that I needed a new spark as well for myself as for the audience. And I had so many ideas of a new sound. The year before, I already made a track in that sound. So I was like, hey, this is something I really like more the technical, digital, futuristic stuff, Yeah. So I was like, hey, okay, maybe I can focus more on this. And I already had some new tracks almost done. So I was like, maybe I should do a totally new act around it. And first I thought, let's do it under Bass Modulators. But I found out that the sound became so much different and so much harder that I thought maybe just split it up in 2. So I can really give the fans what they expect instead of they have to change expectations every few tracks. But for me, it was most of it like a creative thing. I wanted to do this weird kind of futuristic stuff. And I also really loved AI back in the days when it started, like 2 years ago, the ChatGPT and Midjourney and all those programs I really love. And I came up with some really cool futuristic robot themed things. And then I was like, hey, maybe I should make a suit out of this, Yeah. So I designed the whole suit also with AI.
Okay.
It took a lot of work, but I've put in a lot of pictures, what I liked, and a lot of prompts. And then this came out, and I was like, holy shit, this is epic. So I called, I made an appointment with a guy in the States, USA. And he customly made it for me, like the whole mask.
Wow.
And some other guy in Canada made the whole suit. So it's all custom made, and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking epic. So yeah, that's how it came into existence. It was more of an experimental creative project for me.
Okay, nice. I actually saw you once at Fabric. I think it was maybe last year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah. By the way, what do you think? What do you think of playing in Spain, especially in Madrid?
Yeah, I love it. The people over there are so crazy, and they're always welcoming me with an open heart and open arms, and it's really funny. I think maybe almost most of my comments and DMs in my Instagram are always from Spanish people, like, when are you coming back? And you're not on the lineup, where are you? So, but I can tell you guys, I'm coming back really soon. I cannot exactly tell you when, but yeah. So I'll be back.
Nice. Okay. Hopefully it will be in October, I'm thinking. But yeah, nice. And also I saw that you went to Mexico. Okay, I'm Mexican. I don't know if I already told you that. But I saw that you were in Mexico last year at Dreamfields, I think.
Yeah.
And how?
That's right. Yeah, that was also really cool. Yeah, Mexican people are also so crazy. I mean, like, the funny thing is with Mexican people, when the event starts, like even like 1 o'clock or something, people are already going crazy as if their life depends on it, you know? And I'm like, dude, it's like almost 40 degrees and you're already dancing like it's your last day, you know? So that's what I love about them. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think that happens because since in Mexico or Latin American people don't really get like all these artists that we see here in Europe for obvious reasons. So when all these artists go there, it's like, I don't know, they're really excited, and we don't see that here. Well, at least not that often, because we are used to see all our, or at least for myself, I get to used to see all my favorite artists like a lot of times during the year. So when you don't have that, I think that there's more passion. So they want to really experience the whole festival. They want to be there. They want to dance. They want to see their favorite artists, which I think is really cool. Because I was also talking with Subsonic, and he was telling me that his experience in Chile was really good because everyone was singing, and he never felt that in any other place. And I think it's because of this, like, that you get like all this love from the people that are really far away from Europe.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I see. Also, how much they love if I'm coming to give them a signature or, you know, make a picture with them. Like, they're so stoked and so honored if I do that. And now, like, when I'm at Defqon, I mean, like, there's still people who want to make a picture with me, lots of them. But for them, it's so normal, especially when they're Dutch, you know, and they really don't care anymore. I mean, like, it's not that they're not grateful, but it's like, they see these DJs like almost every week. But over there, they're so grateful if you make a picture with them, and that's heartwarming.
Yeah. By the way, why did you? I know that you have a video about this, but I know that a lot of people are gonna ask me why didn't I ask this. So I want to ask you, why did you split with Roland?
Well, the main reason was that Roland started during Corona times. He started a new job because we didn't have any gigs, of course, because of everything what happened. And he was pretty successful in his new job. Okay. And when everything started up again, I was still like doing everything to, you know, get our career going. And he found out that it was really hard for him to combine this career with that career. And he also had 2 kids. And I really wanted to go like 100% still on it, you know. And he was like, you know, I really want to do it, but I cannot give 100%. So it felt a little bit off, you know, like our visions were a little bit off. And then we just decided in a good conversation, hey, maybe, let's do our own thing. And we're still friends. We're still maybe planning to do a little gig somewhere, you know.
Nice.
So, you know, that's not a thing at all. But it was just our visions were on a different path.
Okay, that's funny because I think that most of the people, at least during Corona, they actually found that their passion was being a producer. And then this is like quite the opposite. Like during Corona, he started a normal job, and then he loved it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, he still loves playing music and also making music. It's not about that, but it was more like he was not able to give like his full attention to music anymore. So it was better for both to say, hey, maybe just keep it, let's split it up. And what I already say, we're still friends. Maybe we're going to do something cool in the future. We're also going to do a new NCBM classic set at Accelerator, and he's going to join with that. So, he's still in the game, but at another, like, his own pace. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Okay, but that's pretty nice. Nice. And what do you think about the evolution of hardstyle nowadays?
Well, what I like about, especially right now, is that we're coming a little bit more back to the euphoric sounds. People really want to feel more of the feel-good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Also with the classics are so popular nowadays. And that's what I also try to bring back a little bit in my music, especially, for example, with my last track, Endless Blue. I really wanted to capture that old school classic sounds, you know, only then with a little bit of more fresh synths and kicks. But I think that worked out really well, and people are responding on it so well. And they love that we're getting back a little bit more melody in that. So I think we get more of a split towards like the real hard stuff and a split more towards the euphoric stuff again. Before it was everything together, you know, everybody tried to get a piece of the raw stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, it feels like we're going back a little bit more to the middle with a lot of the hardstyle scene again. Yeah. So, but I still also love the raw stuff to be clear. That's why I also started my new act, of course. But what I always not really liked about it was when it there was no feeling in the tracks anymore, you know, when it lacked emotion and that kind of stuff. And it just became like flat, emotionless, as hard as possible, distorted crap, in my opinion. And I see that a lot of quality is getting back into the raw also nowadays. So that's a really good thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that nowadays, I don't know if it's because like how the world is developing nowadays, that everything is like really fast with TikTok and everything. I feel that the songs are like really disposable. I don't know if that's the word, but like, I don't know, if I find a track and then I can love it, but then probably 3 weeks later, I will never listen to that song again. And I don't know, most of the songs nowadays are like soulless. Like you said, that they lack of emotion or something. And I feel like on the past few years, we don't have any classic songs. Like I know that most of the songs won't be listened in, I don't know, maybe 10 years, you know? And that's kind of weird. I feel like, and as you said, I think that now this is like coming back. We need melodies, I think. At least for the songs to
make it memorable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Totally agree. Yeah, I still also play most of my sets, like even the new sets, not classic sets. I still play a lot of classics because I really love that memorable sound of them. You know. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see that my main focus still is around that sound, and I'm really glad that it's coming back, I think, at least. That's how it feels.
Yeah. So in the Netherlands, right now, you have a lot of these classic events, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because here in Madrid, I don't think that we are going to see that soon. Most of the events are like focused on up-tempo and raw and, well, mostly up-tempo.
Yeah.
Actually. So, hopefully someday there will be some melodic events. I think that here, Fabric does a really good job because they always bring like really real hardstyle artists. Also, they bring up tempo, raw, and everything, but they focus on hardstyle, which is always nice.
Yeah. I mean, like I think there's a place for everything, you know, for every sound, for up tempo, raw, extreme raw, euphoric. But as long as the main theme around hardstyle still, how do you say? Sometimes I'm walking at an event and I'm like, it feels like we have totally different genres already. Mm. So I hope that everything comes a little bit back to like, you know, everything is hardstyle again.
Yeah.
But I think we're going that way because I see a lot of raw artists bringing more melodies and that kind of stuff into their music. I think like euphoric people have a little bit of harder kicks. So I think we're just getting a good mixture of everything again.
Yeah, like getting into the middle ground. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And what's your favorite city or country to play at?
Oh, that's so hard because every country has like his own or its own like feeling or specialty or audience, but
Spain or Mexico.
I must say, yeah, definitely. But I was thinking, can I seriously say that? But I can seriously say that it's definitely true. Yeah, especially because I think what I already said, like the people are so crazy in Spain and in Mexico. Maybe it's just the culture is a little bit the same. Maybe I don't know, but I definitely love it. Especially South America, always, also like Chile and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's like a really, how to say, what I already said, they're so grateful, Like, for example, if I come in Mexico or in Chile and I go into the hotel, there are always people standing in front of the hotel with like big signs with my name on it, and like sometimes 100 people, and you never see that anywhere else. It's crazy if people are waiting for you at the hotel to just maybe say hi to you for 2 seconds. Sometimes they're already waiting for hours, and just to get a glimpse of you. So yeah, that's heartwarming.
Okay, now you can tell me one besides Mexico and Spain.
I must say Chile. What I already said. I think Chile is after that, like my favorite. Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to ask you about your creative process into making songs. Like, how do you find inspiration? How do you start creating the song?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I start with a vocal. Sometimes I get a vocal from like an artist or like a vocalist. Sometimes I just have a melody, and then from that I build a track and send it over to a vocalist. Like, can you sing something on this? But nowadays I also start with AI, and that's really funny because I never expected to go that fast. But there's so much really good software going on, like the Suno, the Audio. Maybe you've heard of it. And it's not that I can get a full track out of it. I don't even want to, but they can spark your inspiration, like they can get like a little bit of a song text or a lyric or a sound. And I'm like, hey, this is really cool, So I have a lot of different ways to start it. But sometimes I'll also start only with a sound that I'm like working on a synthesizer, and I'm like, whoa, this sound is really epic. And then I build a whole track around that sound. So it's totally different for every track. But that's also the reason why I think that you still keep original stuff, Because if you always start the same way, then you automatically get the same sort of result. And if you start with a vocal and the other time with a melody, then you have totally different vibes most of the time. So I think that's a really good way to keep stuff original.
Okay, and I really want to know, how does it work, like using AI into creating music? For example, I'm a programmer, so I'm a web developer, and I always use ChatGPT because it helps me a lot with the code. But how do you employ it like into music? How do you use it?
Well, when ChatGPT just started, you didn't have the Suno stuff yet. I used it to get inspiration for vocals, like more for the lyrics.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes I have like an idea in mind and I have maybe the first sentence of it. And then I'm like, okay, can you help me, ChatGPT? And this is the theme and it needs to sound a little bit like this. And then ChatGPT comes up with lyrics. In the beginning, it was definitely not good enough yet. But right now, you have so much different AI software, also like Cloud and what's the other one again? Bard, or no, it's Gemini. And I have a lot. So I sometimes even try different ones and they all give different results. And sometimes they have the lyrics are so good that I'm like, holy shit, this is like 10 out of 10, Wow. So I must say I'm pretty impressed nowadays of that. And also what I already said, the Suno and audio.com websites, they really make interesting stuff right now. It's not high quality yet. I mean, like not really quality to really release it like that.
Okay.
But there are so many parts in it you can use. And for example, I recently made a vocal with, I think it was Suno. And then with another program, I made an a cappella out of that. So I riffed the vocal out of it, and then I put it into another software. It's called like Audime, I don't know the name. Yeah. And then I translated that vocal into another vocal, and then I put it in a track. So I was like, wow, I used 3 AI programs and the result is really epic. So yeah, we're at the point that you can really, really make tracks with the help of AI. And that's really epic. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also think that most of the producers, or anyone, should start using these technologies because they help a lot. And I know a lot of people that are against them, but I think that you have to join them because it's the future. It's the present right now. It's going to be really big in the future.
You cannot stop it. Yeah. That's the whole thing. People can scream about it. People can hate it, but you cannot stop it. So you can better welcome it and be the best. Be the best with it, let it help you. That's the only thing you can do right now, or left behind. I mean, it's going that fast. Maybe I think in like 1 or 2 years, it's good enough to make real releasable tracks. I mean, we're almost there already. Yeah. So, if you're not able to use it in the right way, you're going to left behind.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, unfortunately.
It has two sides, you know. I mean, like, unfortunately, if it's really getting at the point that you can make releasable music with one prompt, then the creative part will be gone, of course. But right now I feel really creative because of the AI. So that's the whole thing, you know. I had I'm doing a lot of things right now I never did before and I never tried before because I didn't know of the existence, or maybe I found out with stuff I didn't ever see before, or lyrics that I never came up with before. So right now, in my opinion, it's a real spark of inspiration. So I really hope that it keeps doing it like that instead of replacing artists.
Yeah, I think that artists are gonna be there always. Like, So but people, you have to join AI.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the most challenging part?
You're going to send them an affiliate link right now, right?
Yeah. I will.
Yeah.
For you, what has been the most challenging part of being a hardstyle DJ and producer?
I think as a producer, the whole production of hardstyle is a challenge itself, because the hardstyle kicks are, I think, maybe the hardest sounds in the whole music industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried a lot of different genres. I made dubstep, I made techno. I'm still making techno these days with my alter ego, Rick Mitchell's, by the way.
Hey.
But I did a lot of trance, I did EDM, I did a lot of stuff, and I also released it. So it was not just for fun, you know. But by far, hardstyle is the most hard music to make. Complex, especially with kicks. And the next problem you also have with hardstyle is that there's so much sound in a track with hardstyle that you have to really mix it so well to still keep it powerful and to keep it loud. If you have, for example, like techno or pop track, then it's really empty, you know, so you always have room for your mix. But with hardstyle, everything is distorted and everything is full, so it's really hard to mix and make it. I think by far the hardest music to make.
Okay, and what's your alter ego in techno music?
It's called Rick Mitchell's. Okay. So Rick, because my first name, and Mitchell's, it's because Michel is my second name, so I came up with the name. I already released 7 years ago 6 or 7 tracks on Armada, from Armin van Buuren.
Yeah.
And it was back in the days, it was on the label of W&W, and they're really good friends of mine. And I made some tracks and they loved it, so they released it. And it was also played by Chesto and Hardwell and Armin van Buuren. Everybody was playing those tracks. So there was even a point that I was doubting, shall I go with this sound because it's getting so popular that fast? But then I just decided to stay in hardstyle because my heart was still there. And also because I was with Roland and we already had a career.
Good choice.
But I made a lot of EDM house tracks back then. And right now, as we speak, I'm working on a few techno tracks under that name. So I also just started an Instagram page a few days ago, like Rick Mitchell. So for people who want to check it out, it's finally on Instagram. It's more like melodic techno, hard techno kind of stuff.
Okay, I have to.
So I'm really curious what you think of it.
Nice. Yeah, and I also think that having these alter egos, it's good also for you to get more inspiration to think outside of the box from hardstyle sounds. So you can actually use different kind of sounds that you start learning through creating songs from other genres.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's especially when I'm making other genres. Most of the time, I'm coming up with ideas for hardstyle. That's really funny. I which track was it again? I think it was no, I can't remember which track, but I started off with a trance melody because I wanted to make a trancey, melodic, techno kind of track. And then I was like, maybe I can translate it to hardstyle. And and I did, and it worked out really well. But it was a melody I never would think of for hardstyle if I started off with hardstyle in mind.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get better ideas by doing different genres, even for hardstyle.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to tell you, I was just looking for something that, because of the song Need to Feel Loved, it was probably the second song that I heard when I started listening to hardstyle, and was one of the songs that actually made me fall in love with hardstyle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
Really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, thanks, man. I love to hear these kind of stories. That's also really nice because I also love that vocal already from the original. And I was always thinking I want to do a remix for this one. You know, it was deep in my heart. And one day I was like, okay, just do it. But we didn't even know if we could clear the vocal. So I asked my publisher, like, hey, are we able to do it? And he was like, yeah, it's really funny that you say so, because we were just working on another remix from like another genre. And he also wanted to do it. So we just cleared it so we can fix it for you instantly. So I was like, wow. So I made the track. And I played it for a long time, and I love it so much myself too.
Yeah, I love it. And is it hard to get the rights, or how does it work?
Well, in this case, if you really do a remix of an original song like I did, then in most cases you don't get any rights or royalties for it. Unless you make an agreement on it. But in this case, they've said, like, you can use it, but you cannot get any royalties. But in some cases, I can, because I just made, for example, a remix of Spiritum from Maddox and Vini Vici. It's going to be released this Friday.
Nice.
And with that one, they paid me to do the remix, you know, and that's really cool, because it feels also like fair if you put a lot of effort in something and you make a real good project out of it. In my opinion, it's fair then to earn something out of it. So they said, like, hey, you can earn some royalties on this. So that's really nice. Yeah.
Nice. By the way, I also loved Vini Vici. Before I started into hardstyle, I used to love psytrance, and Vini Vici were my favorite artists.
Yeah, I love them too. I mean, like, they're like the OGs of the psytrance, you know, and they're still going doing exactly what you expect them to do in such a good way for so many years already. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably like the only psytrance artist that I always see when I go to, you know, big festivals. I don't know, maybe Tomorrowland. And I always have to see them. Like, they are really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, what kind of music besides electronic music do you usually listen to, or you only listen to electronic music?
I think I listen like 80% of the time to dance-related music. Mm-hmm. So what I already said, in my spare time, I listen a lot to more melodic techno, melodic house, deep house kind of stuff. But it's also because it's more, let's say, background music, you know? So when I'm in the car or that kind of stuff. Yeah. But when I'm like in the fitness or when I'm jogging, then I'm putting on some hardstyle. But most cases, it's dance or electronic related. And if I'm not listening to that, it's everything, like pop music, rock. I love a little bit of hip hop sometimes. I even love like country, that kind of stuff. It also depends. Sometimes I put on a Spotify playlist I never heard before, just to find out something new, you know, and just like, what is this? Okay, let's try it out. And sometimes I get inspired of new stuff I never heard. So yeah, okay. I like everything. What I also really love is classical music, but then especially movie scores, you know, like Hans Zimmer kind of stuff. And I can listen to that all the time. I love that so much. Yeah.
Have you ever listened to mariachi? It's a genre from Mexico.
I think somebody told me about it when I was in Mexico, but I can't remember, to be honest, what it is exactly.
Okay, I will send you some song.
Oh, cool. But what sort of genre is it?
Oh, it's hard to define it because it uses a lot of instruments, but it's guitars, also like a bass, but it's not really a bass. I don't know the name in English. Also violins. I have to send you some songs. It's funny.
Cool, man.
You might get some inspiration.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Maybe I don't know. In a few years, you will release a song with some mariachi sounds on it.
That will be awesome.
Yeah. But
I gotta put your name on it.
Please. Please. It should be my name. That's the name of the song.
Perfect.
I wanted to ask you, what are your favorite songs about from Bass Modulators?
Oh, that's just such a hard question because there are a lot of tracks I really like, but sometimes I like them more for the sound design, sometimes more for the emotion behind it, sometimes more for the story. But for example, one of my favorite tracks is Solar, but especially, you know, from with NCBM, especially because of the story behind it. We started on a track together with noise controllers called Holding On. It's also one we finished. But then we searched for a musical instrument to put in a track. And we were thinking, like, what should we do? Like a guitar or piano or a banjo or maybe saxophone. So we searched in our library for a saxophone sample. And literally the first one we found was like the one from Solar. And we played it and we looked at each other. We were like, holy shit, we can make something epic out of this. But let's start a new track. So we instantly started a new track and then playing some chords underneath the saxophone. And instantly, I think in 5 minutes, we had the melody and we were like, holy shit, this is something special.
Wow.
And then we finished it, I think even in maybe 1 or maybe 2 days maximum. And we sent it over first to B2S because we asked maybe they wanted to do it as a decibel anthem because we thought it would fit the anthem, the sound really well. But they didn't want it to have it as an anthem. We're like, okay, are you sure? Yeah, it's too experimental and that kind of stuff. So we were like, okay, let's send it to QDance. And then QDance was like, epic, let's do it in the end show. And then it became #1 that year. So yeah, that was pretty insane. So we never we never expected it, to be honest, that it became #1, especially because it was so different, you know, with the saxophone that was never done before and pretty like housey, euphoric. But after the end show, everybody was talking about the track. And it was, of course, the biggest honor when it became #1. I still have the golden record over here because it was a pretty big honor to get it.
Nice.
So that's like a story. That's a background story why it became such a special track for me. But I think if I really must choose one, it's of course Dragon Blood, the Defqon anthem. Also because of the story, but also because of the track itself. Like everything we knew back then and everything we loved and every kind of sound is so worked out. And it felt like we were building like a really big statue and put in so much detail and we were done and we're like, yes, this is like the anthem of our life. So I think I must, if I choose one, that's that one.
Okay. By the way, talking about festivals, you mentioned Decibel. Have you ever attended another festival besides Defqon as a bartender, as a guest? And if so, which ones has been your favorite?
Festivals, you said?
Yeah.
Or just events in general?
Let's talk about both. I said festivals, but also tell me about the events.
Well, I must say that's also one I play at, but Tomorrowland's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really
like, in my opinion, when the first time I went there, I was expecting a little bit that it maybe was better on the videos than in real life.
No.
But when I was there, it was so good, you know. I was like, whoa, this is next level stuff. And since then, I think I played it like 10 times or something. And it's still one of my favorite festivals in the world. But besides that, I also love like smaller festivals, you know, especially when it's in a country you have never been and people are so like hyped. Like what I said, like in Mexico, like Dreamfield, it's not one of the biggest festivals, but if the people are so hyped, that's for me all that counts. You know, you can have the best stages in the world like Tomorrowland, but if the people are not dancing and be happy, then it's still worth nothing, you know. So, those smaller parties are also definitely on my list. But it's really hard to give you now top 5 because there's so many events I've been to. But also like Fabric, if you're talking about clubs, Fabric is one of my favorite clubs in the world. Maybe it is my favorite club. It's like insane. Every time I go there, I have the best time of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's insane. I think I remember I don't know if it was 1 year ago. No, like 2 years ago. I think after Corona, the first like opening of Fabric, or I don't remember, like it was probably in March. I remember that you came here, and I don't know if you already split with Roland, but well,
I think I played there. I think I played there 2 times since I split up, so maybe it was on my own already. I don't know. I think I played 1 time on my own as Bass Modulators and 1 time as Bass X Machina, and I think before that it was still with Roland. So I'm not sure which one it was.
Okay, then it was probably the only time that you were there as Bass Modulators. Because I remember it was my birthday.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Was it in the main room? Because I think I played 2 times as Bass Modulators on my own.
It was in the main room.
No, then it was, then I played 2 times. Yeah, I can remember that time.
Yeah. But what do you usually request on your rider?
I don't have a really complicated rider because everybody always asks, like, do you have like blue M&Ms or anything? But I just have a bottle of champagne, like a Moet, and a bottle of Grey Goose, and just some regular stuff, you know, like Red Bull, just some snacks. The only weird thing, people are always asking me, like, why do you have it? It's like milk chocolate with hazelnuts. And in Holland, it's something called Milka. It's like a brand, you know, Milka?
Yeah.
And I love it so much. And Roland also loved it back in the days. And we were like, just put it on the rider. So we always, if they're handing it over to us, they're like, what the fuck? Why the fuck do you have this in your rider? Yeah, like we love it so much. So that's, I think, the only weird thing we have. But, or we have right now, I have. Yeah.
And what's the weirdest thing that you have seen from another artist on the rider?
I saw one time I saw like a guy who really wanted to have his own coffee machine, like a special coffee machine in his room. He liked coffee so much. I cannot remember who it was, but so they were putting it there, like a really expensive espresso machine. And I was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah.
I wanted to make his own coffee. And I also, but I didn't see that, but I heard like I think it was. Who was it again? Like a really big DJ. He had like boxer shorts on his rider, like 10 boxer shorts because I think he was sweating so much or something. He had like 10 boxer shorts. Or maybe he was shitting his pants because he was that nervous every set.
Every time. Can you imagine? That would be crazy.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, but I think that are the weirdest things I've seen. Yeah.
And do you like to party after you play?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I always go in the crowds. Yeah, especially with an event where I'm free afterwards, like Defqon this year. After my set, I was free. Yeah, then I'm going to party my ass off. And that's also because the reason I started doing this was because I loved the event so much as a visitor. Yeah. So for me, it always has been because of the party itself. You know, some people are only playing the set and then they're going home. You know, for me, it's also a lot of inspiration to go into the crowds and to hear the music from the other side of the DJ booth and to really see the people react and how the bass hits in your chest, you know, that kind of stuff. And sometimes I find out about tracks that I heard in my studio, but I was not impressed. And then in the crowd, I was like, holy shit, this is sick, man. Yeah. So, you know, it's sometimes it's really good, in my opinion, to get in the crowd as a DJ for more inspiration. Yeah.
So you were in the crowd this Defqon.
Yeah. All weekend.
Okay, perfect. Then tell me about your favorite sets.
Oh man, I must say I've most of the time I talked to people because everybody's talking to me and getting pictures and stuff, you know. So I must say I didn't hear a lot of sets like in full, but I was to Aftershock because we were doing a set together, or not a set, but we played a few new tracks together. So I saw a lot of his set. I liked a lot. I have been to what was it again? Oh man, I cannot even remember. It's so bad. But I've been everywhere, and I saw everywhere like 3-4 tracks, and then I had to talk again. So I cannot help you out with this, to be honest.
And is it stressful to be like walking around and having all these people coming to you, or do you like it?
Most of the time I like it, to be honest. I mean, like, especially when I'm free, when I don't have anything to do except for partying myself, then I totally love to talk with people, and it's never enough for me. Only sometimes you're in a hurry, you know, you have to go to the stage, or your set is almost starting, or you need to do an interview, and then it can be hard if everybody still get a hold of you to make a picture or something. But in most cases, I really like to talk to fans and to all the people over there. So no, it's not a big problem for me. Only what I already say, I don't see much from the sets and the music, but it's okay. I'm used to it, so it's good.
Yeah. And which festivals are the most welcoming for the artist?
You mean like by the hospitality and that kind of stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I must say, last year Dreamfields was really, really good. They had like a really nice backstage. They built themselves, but we had such a warm welcome. We get a full like pack with all kinds of gifts. So we get a T-shirt, and we get like how's it called again? The thing you burn, and then what's it called again? Like the spiritual stuff, you have to bless people with the smoke.
It's incienso.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know the word in Spanish, but not in English. But yeah.
Doesn't matter. But it was like, and there were crystals in it, and like candies, and they gave so much gifts to make us feel welcome, and I liked it so much, you know. And the rider was perfectly on point. They had like such a basket of fresh fruits. So it's heartwarming to see those kind of parties, because especially in Holland, most of the time they are so doing it so many times that the artist is not really like important for them anymore, you know. It's just you can get your drinks over there, you can put your bag there, see you later. So, and it's also okay. I mean, like, it's not that I have a problem with they doing that, but if they really give you that warm welcome, like we had in Mexico, for example, then you feel like really home, you know, really like a warm welcome.
Yeah.
But also like Defqon, they're doing a great job with that, because they have like a really big artist village or artist lounge. And it's really nice to see, because all the artists coming, joining there and having like conversations and having fun and playing games. And most of the time they have a lot of collabs coming out of Defqon, because everybody is talking to each other and having drinks. And they also have like an artist village where all the DJs are staying, you know. So it's really good for the whole scene if all the DJs are collabing and talking to each other. Yeah. So I think,
Are there like, I don't know how to say it, like levels, like, or every artist get like the same village, the same type of village and everything, or does it change depending on how big an artist is?
Well, what they did this year, because it was so popular, like last year they did, I think 5 stages or something that could get like a bungalow in the artist village. Mm-hmm. But this year they did, I think, only the black stage, the blue stage, and the red stage. So unfortunately, I played UV, so I didn't get the bungalow this year. Yeah. But last year I was part of it, and it was like really, really cool. And especially because there are so many after parties after Defqon. Every house is like an after party, you know. So you can walk the whole artist village, and everybody is having a great time till like 6 a.m. And that's something you never see, you know, because an artist village like they do with Defqon is not a common thing other events do or something. So it's something I really look forward to every year.
Wow. And there are like, how many DJs do you play at Defqon? It's like 300 or something like that. So it must be a huge village. Yeah, it must be a huge
Definitely
village.
It is. Yeah, I think it's the whole, I'm sure it's like the Walibi Park. It's the bungalow park on the terrain. Okay. They just hire it for only artists as far as I know. So, and they also build a studio in there, so you can go into the studio with vocalists, and they have like a full breakfast corner where you can get like your breakfast stuff, and they have like a cold plunge, so you can do like the Wim Hof thing in the morning, and they have a sauna, and they have like all kinds of stuff. So it's really, really nice.
Nice. And can you bring guests?
It depends a little bit on what kind of bungalow you have, but in most cases, every artist can bring one person, and you share most of the times a little bungalow together with another artist. So, like last year, I was together with Subsonic, and he brought a friend, and I brought a friend. So, and then you have like, if everybody does that, you have a really good vibe.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Okay, nice. And have you had any memorable or fun experiences at any festival that you can remember?
I have something, and it's a Defqon story, and I'm not totally sure which year it was. I think it was 2018 or something, but we were playing on the Gathering. So the Gathering is, of course, like insane, you know. It's everybody is being there, and it's watching also online. And I think there were also maybe like 500,000 people streaming it, so it was really, really crowded, and everybody was watching it. But so we were. Oh wait, I put off my headphone right now. Do you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, because I changed something on my headphone.
Oh yeah.
No, but so we were playing the set and fully crowded. And then Roland played a track, and he broke off the jack of the headphone inside the mixer. So, but it was not like ripped off; it was ripped. Yeah, it was ripped off, not ripped out. So we were like, we could not get it back, and there was no thing on the headphones anymore. But we were in the middle of a mix, so he was looking like me, like, dude, we don't have an headphone anymore. I said, what the fuck? And so somebody else wanted to give us another headphone, but we were like, but the jack is still in the thing and we cannot get it out. So in the middle of that mix, and he needed to mix at that point, so he started just to mix without headphones on like eyesight. And there was like a guy from backstage, like an audio engineer. He was like running upstairs with a little like they say it like the English words, but to get it out. So he was like underneath us, in between us. He was like try to get it out. And we were like mixing like this, like over him. And then sometimes get something out of his hands and get it away. It was such a big mess. But everything was live, we could not stop in the middle of our set. So the funny thing is, at the video, you don't see anything of it. You don't see anything. So I was like, how is this even possible?
Yeah,
because it was like a whole thing during, it was like 5 minutes or something. But you don't see anything in the mix. So we were like, wow, this is crazy that nobody ever know that this happened.
Wow.
Yeah, very crazy. And then, but the funny thing is, and we in the stretch, we didn't even realize that you have like 2 holes inside the mixer, like one for the big plug and one for the small jack. So later on we were like, holy shit, we just could get a new headphone and do it with the small jack in there. But we didn't think of it because of the stretch,
Yes.
But it was a really funny story, to be honest.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have any special routine, or do you do something before going on stage?
Well, the only thing I try to do is before I go on stage to be like maybe 5 minutes or something, relax, just keep a little bit time for myself, and just also to just prepare in my head, because sometimes I also go instantly from having conversations and interviews and blah, 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 and then you're getting a little bit like overwhelmed on stage. So I always want to be like a few minutes before I go up, just a little bit time for myself. So I'm totally zen when I'm getting on stage.
Okay.
But that's actually all. Sometimes I do a little shot, for we go on stage, just to get into the mood. But that's about it. I don't have any rituals besides that.
Okay. Do you still get nervous?
Not often, to be honest, but only with really big ones. Like, for example, like Defqon last time. I get like 10% nerves.
Okay.
But before, but when you play it, for example, at Climax, then it's like totally different. Then you have it's like a really big show. Or when you play the main stage at Defqon also, then they have so many things going on, and you have to check this and check that, and then somebody is counting down before you get up, and then they have to start an intro show, and then they do fireworks, and you have to adapt to everything. So sometimes if you have a show like that, especially with Climax and that kind of stuff, then I'm nervous. But with normal sets, like most of the time, it's
okay.
I don't have it anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Rick, we're about to finish, so I'm just going to ask you 2 more questions. The first one
Bring it on.
I'm going to try to create this sentence in the right way. So I'm going to think about it. But what kind of errors have you done during all these years on your career that you would have changed, or that you would advise like new artists on not doing?
Ooh, that's hard. I think one of the main things for me personally that changed my career was just go. And what I mean by that, don't wait till it's perfect. Because I was the guy that never was satisfied with what I did, what I made. And the funny thing was that Roland always was like, yeah, let's just put it out. Let's put it in line. Let's put it here. And I was like, no, it's not finished yet. But you saw it like also with the first track. Yeah. It was not finished yet. It was like a little piece of music of 1 minute, and we put it online and we get a record deal out of it. So I don't say just put everything online and just spam every artist with your small snippets, but don't wait till it's perfect, because then you never will be satisfied, and you will never get like feedback from big people like artists and labels. So like if you think I'm 80% satisfied, just start sending it to people or put it on SoundCloud, and not wait till it's perfect. I think that's one of my biggest mistakes when I started. Okay. Still sometimes do. But people, authenticity in tracks is what people really likes. And sometimes if it's like perfectly produced, it's not even the biggest hit. I mean, like my biggest hits are not the best produced tracks. Like in 80% of the times they made in a few hours or maybe 1 or 2 days. And the tracks I'm the most proud of, sometimes I worked on months and months and nobody knows them, So just get it out there, put it online, put it on SoundCloud, send it over to people, and just start. I think that was for me the most important lesson. Yeah. Okay. And besides that, what I always believe, but it's more like spiritual thing, is that I really believe in let's say the law of attraction. If you really, really believe in that you can do it, you can do it. I mean, like I never expected when I was young that I would become a DJ and make a living out of it. Like never, ever. And here I am, but there was like a point in time that I really decided like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do everything about it to make it work. And then I quit my job like in 2008, I guess. I didn't have enough money yet to stay safe. I luckily had a low rent, but I didn't have enough money. But I said like, I'm gonna make it. And I focused all my time and energy on it. And within 2 months, I first had like no money at all. I had to get some money from my dad to even stay alive. But then it slowly became more like a job. And then a year later, I could do it as a full-time job. So, it's a little bit of cliche, but if you want something, go 1000% for it, That's all that works. That's the only way that works, especially with a career like this. Yeah. You cannot do it only as a hobby or like a side project. You really need to fully focus.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the last question is, how would you like to be remembered in the hardstyle scene?
I think like an artist who brought joy to the scene. Like emotions, like people who really can say, I made memories at that music, What I always like is when people telling me like stories behind my music for them. And one of the stories I heard recently, and that's really what I'm talking about. There was a guy at Defqon, and I was looking him into the eyes, and I didn't know him, and he started crying. And I was like, well, okay, do I know you? What is this? So he came towards me and spread his arms, and he hugged me like so hard. He still didn't know who he was. So he said like, you changed my life, bro. And I was like, what happened? He said like, I have a really bad health condition. It's in Dutch we call it asthma, but it's like when your lungs you cannot breathe, I don't know the English name.
Asthma. Yeah.
It's the same. Okay. And he said like every time I had like an attack and I could not breathe, I was listening to your track Oxygen, and it's my life anthem. Of course, also because of the name, but he said like this track has saved my life. And he said like now I didn't have any medication, but it's gone. It's gone. And I'm sure your track saved me from my condition. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. So he said, like, you cannot even imagine how thankful I am for your music and this track. Seriously, you thankful. These are the things what I expected, to be honest. This track because to see something from his condition. Yeah. You hear these kind of stories, then I'm like, wow, this is why I'm doing this, Yeah.
Wow. That was an amazing story to finish this. Thank you very much, mate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, man. I had a great time.
I had a great time.
See you soon in real life.
Yeah, sure. Next time that you're here in Fabric, which I hope it will be soon, or whatever event, please tell me, let me know, and at least we can have a few beers.
Let's do it, bro. Looking forward to that.
Me too.
Nice.
Thank you very much for your time, Rick. It's really appreciated, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
And thanks everyone for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video.